Boom! Salutations. I wanted to revisit something and kind of go into a little more detail about it. And this is something that I think is very prevalent. I had first heard this back in, it's going way back to when, before Art Bell had died, Linda Moulton Howe was on there. And she had talked about some situation where she'd been contacted by a masseuse. Okay, and then again she got contacted by another one years later, I think it was, and she was on, this wasn't Art Bell at this point, I believe it was Whitley Strieber and one of the Dreamlands that she had did. But this is going back, this is, heck, I think I want to say it's like 14 years ago, 15 years ago, it's a long time ago. But anyway, what this entailed was, she said she'd been contacted by a masseuse. This has happened more than once, but specifically a masseuse at like somewhere in Malibu or some high-ranking establishment, and how they have to actually cut their cell phone off. The client has to cut their cell phone off before they get as soon as they come into the room or whatever. And that this individual had come in, and that the masseuse is working on this client, this female client, and at one point working on the occipital, and they hear some type of a weird sound coming from the cell phone that's across the room on the counter, and all of a sudden from the occipital seems to be a gray alien comes out, and it's like comes above and rises above the client and is looking around, and the client is completely unaware of this. All right, and this gray holographic looking around, then after a second the phone made another sound that's turned off across the room, and all of a sudden the gray goes back down into the body, into the occipital of this person. And the masseuse said that it appeared very much that this thing was this gray was out of its cage, and the cell phone called it back and locked it back up. That's the way it was described. And it was very interesting because after she had mentioned that with Art Bell, and the second time she got inundated by a lot of people that were, a lot of masseuses that said they encountered something similar. And this got nicknamed the gray overlay. Right? And I've talked about this a lot. I talked about it on one of those shows I did, God, years ago, and the individual that hosted that really took this and ran with it. But anyway, that's called the gray overlay. And I find it very interesting when comparing this with a few things. One would be the connection that it seems to have to blue light to the cell phone and the cell phone network. That's real heavy considering how everybody's walking around nowadays looking at their phone, not even interacting with each other anymore. Okay, so that's one part of this. And what type of an infiltration system are we talking about as far as mind control and infiltration of entire society? People are talking about AI a lot now, and AI this, AI that, but this is taking it to another level, this gray overlay. Something I kind of want to throw in with this also is that, I've been blessed now to have this platform, and I'm getting all different types of clients, and every client in every situation, especially hypnosis, they all leave me absolutely bewildered, or blasted, bewildered, dumbfounded, just really flabbergasted might be more the word. Yeah, just really in amazement a lot of times. So this particular client is someone that has been around some of those conferences and stuff, and they do some work. They do really good work. All right, but they've always told me that they can't talk to their guides and to their spirit guides and to their angelics, and that they feel like that they're cut off to a degree, and everybody else can do all these things and they're cut off, and they do really good work, but I don't think they have all the self-confidence because they're not seeing all the psychic things and the things happen to them like that's happened to everybody else, and just keep saying that they're shut off. But let me tell you, by the same token, this individual looks like a true hybrid if I've ever seen one. They don't talk like that, they don't claim to be that or anything, but of all the people I've seen, this will be a prime person to that. So I was convinced that they were a high-level contactee at some level, at some point, and the reason why they're coming and you know, orbiting around these conferences and stuff like that. Anyway, so during this regression, during a session that actually went from earthbound release into, sometimes you have someone that deep, just choose to do an ET regression. And something that had came out of this is this, and it's amazing, the superconscious of people and subconscious. This individual started talking about being one of 5 individuals on this planet that have the special genetics from these beings that are extragalactic. They gave a name of a galaxy and a planet there, a type of a pink planet, and that these beings have been interacting with Earth for certain reasons, and that the 5 here are having problems. The genetics that they have been giving here, with whatever process has been used, they're having a problem with their abilities because of the technology here. The microwaves, the metals in the atmosphere, which I've heard this before, but also, even more, the 5G. The 5G is completely suppressing their natural abilities of psychically, to a point of where this team that came here and did this with other galaxy said they'll never deal with Earth again. Never come here again, never do any more experiments here, hybrid projects, nothing. They want nothing to do with this place. It's too messed up. Can understand that to a degree. So thus, that reveals why this person is having some problems with their abilities. And I think of how much this ties in to this gray overlay, the 5G, and what they're going to go to 6G. As the client was saying, 6G will be really, really bad. So I mean, that just think that all this ties into how much we're seeing. And I want to real quick before I get out is put you on to also remember the scientific experiment of the blue light mice. The mice that they had exposed to these blue lights for whatever amounts of time, but it actually increased, what it did, increased their depression and mania to a degree. So that is, you know, that's something you can look up, and you think about how many people are looking at the blue lights and the green lights from these screens, and right now to infiltrate our society through cell phones and cell towers and the technology, that is the perfect way. Kind of like what that lady Sherry Divabon was talking about at JRT, about how oftentimes televisions can be portals, which I would agree with to a degree, especially when they're turned on. So please subscribe, give this a like, share the video, help me beat the shadow banning, and I want to thank everybody from my Patreon channel. They're making these videos possible. Thank you very much. Much love to all, and think about that hierarchy and that gray overlay and how much that might be infiltrating right now. Food for thought. Peace.